Good afternoon, my name is Courtney Ellis. I'm going to be demonstrating a wet to dry dressing change today. The date is February 15th, 2019. I have already verified my physician's orders, checked for allergies, there are no known allergies, as well as assessed for pain 30 to 45 minutes prior to the procedure and given pain medication accordingly. Now I'm going to enter the patient's room, verify the ID of the patient, gather my supplies, wash my hands, close the curtain, and start the procedure. Good afternoon, my name is Courtney. I'm going to be your LPN today. Could you verify your name and date of birth for me? Okay, that is what I have on my records and on your wrist bracelet. We're going to be changing this dressing for you this afternoon. I'm going to go ahead and wash my hands and then we'll begin. So, I'm washing my hands first, closing the curtain. I'm going to put on gloves. Raise the head of the bed to waist level, and we're going to remove this old dressing prior to opening our sterile field. So when we're removing this dressing, we're going to pull this tape gently from the outside of the wound, working towards the edge closest to it. Be careful not to tear the skin. We're just going to remove this packing, being very careful not to touch the edge of the wound. Once we're done with that, we're going to remove our gloves, balling them up inside of one another so that you don't touch the outside of the gloves. I'm going to wash my hands one more time. Now I'm going to go over here, open my sterile field, only touching the very outer edges of the tray. I'm going to put on my sterile gloves first. Again, only touching the very outer edges. When applying sterile gloves, it is important to always start with your non-dominant hand first. Only touch the very outer edge of the glove and never touch the outside edge of the glove to maintain sterility. We're going to go over here and do the same thing for the dominant hand. Now that my gloves have been applied, again, only touching the very outside edges, I'm going to throw my wrapper away and open my sterile drape, only touching the very outer edge. Never flinging the drape, and it's important not to reach across your sterile field. Now it's time for the supplies. I'm going to lay my supplies out according to the order that I will be using them, being careful with your sterile gloves not to touch any part of the outside of this tray. Okay. Now that we have that done, what I'm first going to do is to clean the wound. So to do that, we are going to open our saline, and you never turn your back to the sterile field. We're going to pour the saline over the gauze in the tray, maintaining sterility. We're going to pick up one piece of gauze, wring out the excess, and working from the top of the wound down, we're going to do one swipe down one side of the wound, throw that away into the biohazard bag. We're going to get another piece of gauze and clean the other side of the wound. One swipe and throw it away. We never reuse a piece of gauze twice. The next thing I'm going to be doing is measuring the wound and documenting any changes. So this one appears to be 13 inches long, 3 inches wide. We're going to take a sterile cotton tipped applicator. We're going to insert it barely touching the bottom of the wound, marking with our finger how deep the wound is, and measuring in centimeters. It looks to be 3 centimeters deep. So we are going to take note of that, throw that away into the biohazard bag, and now we are ready to pack our wound. When packing a wound, we are going to get one piece of gauze, bring out the excess, and lightly place it into the wound. Okay. Now that I've laid those there, I'm going to get another sterile cotton tipped applicator. I'm going to use this applicator to lightly press down on the gauze, ensuring that the gauze is the entire depth of the wound. I'm going to dispose of that applicator in the biohazard bag. Our next step is going to be applying the secondary dressing, which is an ABD pad. The ABD pad always has a blue line pointing towards the ceiling. We're going to put the ABD pad the entire length of the wound, centered with the wound. Just lightly place it over, and now we are going to tape it down. When taping a wound, it is important not to use too much tape, as the tape could irritate the skin. So we are just going to use 2 strips of tape. And now we're going to dispose of that tape. I'm going to take off of my sterile gloves by pulling the outside into the inside. I'm going to go under and ball up my sterile gloves together to where I never touch the outside of the gloves. I'm going to wash my hands one more time. Once again, apply gloves. Now I'm going to write my initials, CE, the date, which is February 15th, 2019, and the time, which is 11 o'clock in the morning, on a white sticker, and I'm going to place this sticker onto the ABD pad, very lightly touching it so that we're not pressing down on the wound. After that is done, I'm going to fold up my drape, take my leftover supplies, dispose of them in the biohazard bag, take off my gloves once again, balling them up inside of one another so that you never touch the outside edge. I'm going to unroll my biohazard bag and tie this off to where you never touch anything but the outside edge. I'm also going to lower the bed back to its original level, hand the patient a call light, ask if there is anything else that needs to be done, assess for pain, I'm then going to document my findings, any changes in the wound itself, the length, the width, the depth of the wound, document the time, the day, and my initials on when I changed it, document how the patient reacted to the dressing change, and any other important information that needs to be said. I'm going to ask the patient if they need any water, if they're okay, how their pain level is. I'm going to open the curtain, and that is how you do a wet to dry dressing change.